I like that new faith, new faiths are formed. I really like, personally, I like, I was really getting it. I had a few stages after the whole Christianity thing, where even to the point where I was involved in a Bible prayer group in high school. Yeah, that we meet in the shop, and apparently I inspired one younger girl to continue in her faith. Years later, I met her, and she told me that. She said, you inspired me, your strength, your conviction, and now I'm a nurse, and I still follow it, and I'm thinking, I'm Wiccan now. I'm practicing witchcraft. I didn't say that, but I thought, oh, how funny. And then I had a bit of a, I felt a bit lost for a bit there. I wondered, well, how can something that I'm no longer a part of affect someone? But that's how it works, I think. So yeah, I had a stage where nothing. I didn't disbelieve in God, but I stopped everything, and I was angry because I realized how stupid it was that I would that I wouldn't be that I would believe I deserved any of the abuse, that I would think it was God's plan, or that all of that crap that you're told. Because honestly, I don't like the convenience that's used. Well, this is part of, this is what God wanted when bad things happen to certain people, but this is what God wants when good things happen to certain people, and it just all seems very unfair and chaotic and selective and a stupid thing. Yeah, anyway. Then after the whole, I started to get more into reading Wicca stuff. Now I actually read it. Oh sure, I went through the fluff stuff for a while, but there was something since I was young where, you know, when I was playing through gullies and I was my most innocent self, I was very naturistic, if that's a word, and in turn I also had inherited some things from my parents, where they know when something's wrong, and my father, he used to do a lot of astral travel without knowing it, and I had my experience with that with him one time when he showed up in his apartment when I visited him before I started working at the factory. He showed up at his apartment. There's a big double bolted lock, and I'm laying on the couch, and suddenly my dad is in the apartment when I know he's working midnight shift, and I would have heard the door unlock, and I was awake. And he was in there, and he was talking about how he was glad I was visiting, and something about Christmas. It wasn't Christmas time, but he was sorry about Christmas. I have no idea what that meant. And he was glad I was there, and all this sort of thing. And I felt a panic in me, and also if I look around, I'm going to see my dad. I also felt him, you know, pat my head, and then I was thinking, okay, you can go back to work now, Dad. And I turned around, looked at the clock at the time, and no, of course, the door did not open or shut, but he was gone. And in the morning, I didn't know how to bring it up because this was still slightly after the whole Christian stage that lasted most of my life. I said to him, I don't know, he said, I was really worried about, I was worried about you being alone in the apartment that first night, and then at this time I just stopped worrying about you. And I said, oh, well, you were there. And then he told me his history of how he used to visit his mother when he was hitchhiking. He'd just appear at the end of her bed with like snowdrifts around him kind of appearance, and be like, Mom, I'm on this road, and I'll be home in a few days, and I love you. And how if he was concerned or worried about someone, he would just do that a lot. So I learned about that, and I don't think it was long after that that I picked up my own tarot deck. Now my father had his own at one point, and I did discover some occult books when I was younger, way younger, but I didn't really, I read them with curiosity and interest, but then I, of course, there was always something though. I was described as having an old soul when I was younger, so my soul went through quite a bit of shattering and breaking in recent years, so it's only been the past while that I've been reverting back to myself, but I'm struggling like crazy with it. It's difficult to, well, it's not difficult, it's very easy to be who you really are. It's just when you're covering it all up, or I don't know how to describe it, but I have those moments of purity, which brought me to, okay, after the exploring the Wicca thing, I did, but I didn't like all the rules again. I'm like, why are people making up rules for something that was created? Wicca is a recent religion. Now, I'm not saying folk or green magic is new. None of that stuff is new. In fact, there was a time when a lot of that was common knowledge and not something to be feared, and not something that was particular to any religion. But I would come in contact with these people who believe in something so blindly as though that was the truth, and I'd be like, oh, it's just like any other, it's like Christianity or any other following any religion. It's the same thing, and that frustrated me. I was like, where's the learning? Where's the wonder and search if you're just accepting what someone's telling you? What's so new about that? Why am I doing that? So I started to read more about Buddhism and various philosophies of thought in that direction. And a lot of that made sense because the universal, we are all one, energy, all connected. I've always been big into dreams since I was younger, so that's a side note, but I tend to do a lot of my own stuff in dreams. That's not connected to the whole Buddhism thing, but that was a side note. That was part of the mystical side, I suppose. But I don't think so. I think it's brain, what we're capable of. But I was starting to really get into that as well. And then, of course, I don't seem to like rules anymore. But then there was the whole elitism, again, by those who pertain to follow it. And some of those that do, there was a period where I kept meeting a lot of Buddhist men. And I could see the struggle. I admire the struggle in denying yourself, in denying, resisting impulses, and that just peaceful bliss of nothingness. But see, she's awake. She can tell I'm talking. But again, it pissed me off. Yeah, I'm starting to cut myself off. I read, so now I've decided I'm just going to read about everything, and I'm going to try to be a good person. I'm going to keep learning and unlearning, which is one of the key things I learned from the Buddhist thought. I still have my deck. I still read texts from the Bible. I still admire certain stories, but I'm much more open now to learning more about other faiths, and accepting that it's probably, I believe in the existence of probably more than I believe anything's possible, honestly. I don't even think we have any idea of what we are capable of collectively or individually. And when in any atmosphere, I admire in certain churches the power of goodness that people are promoted to do. I think that is a positive thing of churches and people gathering together. But I've also seen the negative extreme.